Obama, moderated tonight by Jim Lehrer, took place at the University of Denver. You see both men now being greeted by their wives on stage. Even this portion of the debate is negotiated ahead of time by the campaigns in terms of which members of their family will be joining them on stage. These are things are negotiated down to this level of detail. In terms of how the overall debate unfolded, I personally do not know who won this debate. I do feel that we saw this debate format die a very painful death on camera tonight. The contrast between the candidates was stylistic as much as substantive. President Obama, I think, calm and professorial and basically explanatory tonight. Governor Romney, more hyper, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but just sort of more amped, more assertive. And that manifests in a way that the debate format was just dismantled. The format and I think the moderator, honestly, with all due respect to Mr. Lehrer, just absolutely dismantled tonight during the debate. We'll have to do the word count, but I think this was one of those. This is one of those debates that if it were a football game, you could tell, you could predict the score more by time of possession in terms of who was speaking more than you could by any other individual plays. Let me bring in Steve Schmidt, who's a senior Republican strategist, from the Cain Palin campaign in 2008. What's your overall assessment tonight?
I think it was a great night for Mitt Romney. I think the doom and gloom that's been hanging over the Romney campaign, Republicans in general, is lifted tonight. I think that the Democratic advance, which began literally a month ago when Clint Eastwood walked out on the stage with his empty chair, ended tonight. I think the race is going to tighten. I think Mitt Romney was in command of this from the beginning. I'm not sure that he lost an exchange during the entire debate. Just a startling performance, in my view, in just the context of how good Mitt Romney was.
I thought that in terms of the individual exchanges, I think what may have been most notable is that there wasn't, I don't think, a single direct attack against Mr. Romney from President Obama. That however they substantively dealt with policy matters, there was a lot of attacks by Mr. Romney toward President Obama.
He was looking down tonight. He was passive. He was abstract in his answers. Mitt Romney was talking about real people, giving real examples. I thought he was clear, he was cogent, he was concise. I think the president was muddled tonight. And I just wonder, we talked about this earlier, when you're the incumbent president of the United States, you're just not used to being challenged and pushed in the way you get challenged and pushed in these debates. And I think it was every bit for the president as bad a performance as George W. Bush had in his first debate against John Kerry.
I was disappointed in the president. The president, he had an opportunity tonight. He created a problem for himself on Social Security tonight. He agrees with Mitt Romney. Every liberal in this country knows that Mitt Romney wants to privatize Social Security down the road. And to do a deal with the devil on that would be the wrong thing to do. I think the president created a big problem for him tonight, for himself. I don't think he explained himself very well on the economy. I thought he was off his game. I was absolutely stunned tonight. Rachel, you just mentioned about time. The president needs to get in and fight for that time. There's people out there that expect him to fight for that time.
I thought the one thing that Mitt Romney did tonight that he has not done for the duration of the campaign and was very effective was just lop off the right wing of his party. He just didn't care about them tonight. So if something was popular, more money for community schools, he was for that. It didn't matter if it would make the right wing how, he was for it. The strategy he took all night was that whenever the president named a popular policy, more spending on education, more money on Medicare, he was for it. And then he would attack the president for things that were unpopular. And so the question then becomes, can you effectively tie Mitt Romney to the Republican Party and its core commitments, both how it acts in the House and the things he has said during the Republican debates? And that never really happened tonight, but those, of course, are the facts of the matter. The idea that Mitt Romney won't cut taxes on people at the high end of the income scale is manifestly preposterous. Steve, I think you would agree. Obviously, if the Republicans get in power, they are going to cut taxes at the high income, and yet he got on stage tonight and said, no, I don't want to cut taxes at the high income.
Romney's problem is that this debate is in 2012, not 1812. We have things like we can hit a button and say, show what he has said before. No doubt, Mitt Romney was at his best tonight, but his best is not good enough. When you look at the fact that he's saying that taxes will not go up on the middle class, yet he is proposing all the way through this campaign, dealing with deductions in terms of mortgage investments, dealing with deductions in terms of charity. It will in fact go up on the middle class and a much lower tax rate for the rich. The facts will not bear him out. When he stood there all night advocating states' rights across the board, what is that saying to women about who's going to decide on women's issues? What is that saying to minorities about immigration, civil rights, and voting rights? This man went back to the 19th century on states' rights all night long. When we hear him stand up there and talk about things that are patently contradictory to his position, what I'm surprised at, he cares so much for the poor, so much for the disadvantaged. Would that be the 47% that he said were moochers and had no responsibility? Is this the 47% that he had a Damascus Road experience walking up to that rostrum tonight? So his problem is not going to be Barack Obama or Lear. His problem is going to be Mitt Romney, because when they play Romney as opposed to the Romney tonight, he's going to look like a flagrant and blatant
The list of things that were not discussed tonight in a night that was all about domestic policy, no discussion of the 47% remarks, no discussion of immigration, no discussion of union rights, no discussion of women's rights, no discussion of Bain, no discussion of abortion, no discussion of Romney's jobs record in Massachusetts, even as he kept bringing up Massachusetts over and over again. Let's go to Chris Matthews for his response in Denver. Chris, what do you think?
Well, this tonight wasn't an MSNBC debate, was it? It just wasn't. It had none of the things you mentioned. It didn't mention all the key fighting points of this campaign. And certainly there was no Bobby Kennedy in the green room before Barack Obama came out tonight. I don't know what he was doing out there. He had his head down. He was enduring the debate rather than fighting it. Romney, on the other hand, came in with a campaign. He had a plan. He was going to dominate the time. He was going to be aggressive. He's going to push the moderator around, which he did effectively. He was going to relish the evening, enjoying it. Nothing to do with the words he spoke. Here's my question for Obama. I know he likes to say he doesn't watch cable television, but maybe he should start. Maybe he should start. I don't know how he let Romney get away with the crap he threw out tonight about Social Security. Listen to the stuff he got away with. He said, you know, emergency room. The latest thing we got from Romney, because he said so, is, you know what I want to do with people when they're poor? Shove them in the emergency room. Why didn't Obama say that? Why didn't he say that? You talk about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicare people, they're part of your 47%. You want to drop them from the list of eligible Americans. You don't have any care for these people. What are you talking about? We've got it on tape. Governor, we got it on tape what you think of these people. Don't come out here and pretend you care about old people because you met somebody at some campaign event. You've written off 47% of the country before you even started. Where was Obama tonight? He should watch, well, not just hardball racers should watch you, and should watch the Reverend Allen, should watch Lawrence. He would learn something about this debate. There's a hot debate going on in this country. You know where it's being held? Here, on this network, is where we're having the debate. We have our knives out. We go after the people and the facts. What was he doing tonight? He went in there disarmed. He was like, oh, wait, an hour and a half, I think I can get through this thing. And I don't even look at this guy. Where's Romney? I love the split screen. Staring at Obama, addressing him like the prey. He did it just right. I'm coming at an incumbent. I got to beat him. You got to beat the champ. And I'm going to beat him tonight. And I don't care what this guy, moderator, whatever he thinks he is, because I'm going to ignore him. What was Romney doing? He was winning.
He was winning tonight.
That's my thought.
I was stunned.
That was my thought. He was winning. If he does 5 more of these nights, forget it.
Well,
just a thought.
It puts the pressure on the president.
Obama should watch MSNBC. My last point. He will learn something every night on this show and on all these shows. This stuff we're watching, this is like first grade to most of us. We know all this stuff.
Well, I was in front of a crowd last night in Denver, Colorado, and I know that they're stunned. I can feel it. I mean, the president tonight was disappointing when he allowed Mitt Romney to talk about $716 billion in Medicare, and the president did not come out and explain it and go after it. I thought Mitt Romney tonight was in his wheelhouse when he was talking about the economy.
Paul Ryan is cutting $716 for Medicare, the exact same number in his budget, which was passed by the Republican House, and the president never mentioned it. 3 or 4 times he had a bite at that apple, never did.
It does remind you that the last debate that Mitt Romney had was 7 months ago, and the last debate that Barack Obama had was 4 years ago. And the people who he's used to sparring with are reporters who are asking him questions from a seated position as he stands in a lecture.
At 45 minutes, people asking, how did he prepare? How did the president prepare for this?
We got 45 minutes in before we got a Ryan budget mention, which was shocking to me, right? Mitt Romney made the choice to put Romney on the Ryan on the ticket. Now, when we look at where the polls started to separate, they actually start to separate before the convention. They start to separate right around when Ryan is put on the ticket. When do the numbers on Medicare and the polling start to go upside down for the Republicans? They start to go upside down when Ryan is put on the ticket. And yet we get 45 minutes through the debate before Paul Ryan is mentioned. Paul Ryan is the incarnation of the modern Republican Party, which will inherit the power that you give to Mitt Romney, since they will be governing from the House most likely. And so that is the key thing, is to remind people there is a governing arm of the Republican Party that already exists. Mitt Romney is in the position of, it's like nailing Jello to a wall, because he could say, well, that's not in my plan. Well, I don't actually agree with that. No, no, no. You are tied to an actual institutional governing body called the House Republican Caucus, which actually has a record, which actually is going to propose and vote for things that you actually put on your ticket. They are you and you are they. And that connection never really happened.
And it's not in the future. It's not hypothetical. He said, if the Ryan plan came to the president, I would sign it. I want to go to Lawrence O'Donnell, who is in Denver, who is in the spin room. Lawrence, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm in the spin room now, Rachel, where Marco Rubio is at the moment the big star. He's surrounded by reporters. He's telling them how great Governor Romney did tonight. You know, I think we have to recognize here that we do not declare the winner of this debate. The voters are going to make that declaration. We're going to find out not tomorrow. We're not going to know for 3 or 4 days. We're going to see a first round of polling on this minimum of 4 days from now. And so we can all go into it with our personal expectations and our personal notions about which candidate should have said what when the other candidate said that. But the verdict is not ours. The verdict is delivered by the American people. And you have to ask yourself, what did Mitt Romney do here to close these polling gaps that he is the victim of at the moment in the battleground states and in the national polls? And you have to find exactly where were those lines if you're making the theory that Mitt Romney was some kind of big winner here tonight. The president clearly came in with what I would call a presidential strategy in the debate, and they may, at Team Obama, look at that tonight and say, we've got to change that. And that strategy was the president was not going to step down from the presidential podium into that courtroom and become a prosecutor. Mitt Romney was happy to take on the role of the smiling prosecutor, which I think we can all agree was exactly what he should have done. Tactically, what we saw Mitt Romney do makes sense from where we're sitting, certainly. And when you are sitting where we're sitting, watching what the president was doing in the debate, being careful, protecting his lead, you might say, you can look at that and say, that's not going to work in the next 2 debates. And I think Team Obama is probably looking at that right now and saying, okay, we have to step into this debate. We can't stand back. And I would differ with you, Rachel, about the moderator point in this debate. I actually like this kind of debate because the moderator is not a factor. The moderator leaves it up to the debaters to make it a debate. Mitt Romney's team knew that, and Mitt Romney came into this debate determined to make it a debate. No one brought up green jobs. The moderator didn't bring up green jobs. Mitt Romney did, to use it as a prosecutorial tool against the president. The president, I think, has to realize that his side and he is under the same obligation to drive the debate from his side himself. The moderator is not going to drive this debate.
That's exactly right.